The Three Kingdom period from 220 to 280 AD is one of the best known periods in Chinese history due to a popular novel, 三国演义, or Romance of the Three Kingdoms. It has been circulating in China since the 14th century of the early Ming Dynasty. Cao Cao was one of the evil villains in this novel, based on a historical figure from the Three Kingdom period. Here is a few portraits of Cao Cao in various folk drama in China. His face was often painted white to indicate that he was the evil villain in the drama. By the way, a loyal official or a general's face is often painted red, indicating that he is a hero in the drama. The best-known hero is Guan Yu from the same period. Here is a portrait of Guan Yu in Beijing Opera. The novel gives some reason why Cao Cao was regarded as an evil villain. One reason is that Cao Cao has no conscience. The novel tells a story of him killing a friend's family. After a failed assassination of an evil warlord named Dong Zhuo, Cao Cao fled the capital with a friend. On his way, he met an old family friend named Lü Boshe. Lü Boshe invited Cao Cao and his friend to stay the night at his house. After Cao Cao and his friend settled down, Lü Boshe went out to buy wine for them. Lü Boshe's sons start to sharpen the knives so that they can slaughter a pig to prepare for the evening banquet for the guests. However, when Cao Cao and his friend heard the noise of knife on the grindstone, they thought that Lü Boshe went out to report on them and his sons were going to kill them. So they acted immediately by killing all members of the Lü family before they fled again. However, on their way out of the village, they ran into Lü Boshe, who had bought the wine and was on his way home. After a few exchanges with Lü Boshe, Cao Cao and his friend realized that they had killed the Lü family by mistake. However, rather than regretting his wrongdoing, Cao Cao also killed Lü Boshe. His friend challenged Cao Cao about his killing of Lü Boshe, asking him why he killed a loyal friend, knowing that his friend did not betray him. Cao Cao replied with this famous saying, which later became a signature of him. 宁叫我负天下人，休叫天下人负我。I would rather betray all the people under the heaven than let them betray me. This certainly sounds like a saying by a sociopath without any conscience. Cao Cao was also portrayed as a traitor of the Han Dynasty. Both his grandfather and father were high-ranked officials of the Han court who were loyal to the Han emperors. According to Confucian values, Cao Cao should continue the family tradition and be a loyal subject to the Han emperor. However, in the novel, Cao Cao showed little respect to the emperor he served. He usurped the power from the young emperor and was accused by many other high-rank officials that he 挟天子以令诸侯, taking the emperor as a hostage in order to control the nobles. In the novel, Cao Cao is also painted as a brutal killer. He killed a scholar simply because the scholar was smarter than him. He also imprisoned and eventually killed the best physician of his time, Hua Tu, who was just trying to treat his severe headache simply because of his paranoia. He also killed his bodyguard, who was just putting a blanket on him while he was taking a nap. So, in Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Cao Cao is the most evil warlord who usurped the power from the emperor who trusted him, killed people simply because of his paranoia, and was extremely narrow-minded and jealous of anyone who is more talented than himself. Was this all true? Who was the historical figure of Cao Cao? Was he really as evil as presented in the novel? These questions are quite hard to answer. Until quite recently, the reputation of Cao Cao has been pretty bad. I think the worst thing Cao Cao did for his reputation was to kill a scholar named Kong Rong, who was not only a very well-known scholar of the time, but also a descendant of Confucius. No wonder Cao Cao was vilified for over 2,000 years. You see, all the official historians during Imperial China were Confucians. There are so many stories about Cao Cao. It is impossible to even summarize his life in one video. If you're interested in Cao Cao's life stories, maybe you can check out the book of Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is available in many different languages. Cao Cao was born into an aristocrat family in 155 AD towards the end of the Han Dynasty. His father was a high-ranked official, and Cao Cao's sons and grandsons traced their family ancestry back to another high-ranked official from the early days of the Han Dynasty. However, his father was the adopted son of a eunuch, which made many people from Cao Cao's lifetime and the subsequent centuries despise him. We don't know how Cao Cao felt about this, but we do know that he was quite self-conscious of his social status. Cao Cao joined the bureaucratic ranks when he was 20 years old on the basis of 举孝廉, or recommended as a filial and virtuous person, and was appointed as a low-rank official. This was a common practice at the time. Most of the sons or younger brothers of high-rank officials would enter the officialdom this way. Cao Cao did not make much progress in his political career in the following 10 years, from 174 to 184 AD, until Huangjin Qiyi, or the Yellow Turban Rebellion, erupted. The Yellow Turban Rebellion was led by a group of religious Taoist priests under the banner of Taiping Dao, or the Great Peace Sect. They got their name because everyone in this sect wore a yellow turban like this. The Yellow Turban Army were made of the followers of the Great Peace Sect, and there were nearly 400,000 followers rose to rebel against the Han court at different locations in Hebei and Henan provinces. This posed a huge threat to the Han Dynasty. The then Emperor Liu Hong quickly appointed Cao Cao and many other officials as generals to raise army fighting against the Yellow Turban Army. The rebellion lasted nearly a year to be put down. Cao Cao and many other generals rose quickly in their ranks and consolidated their military powers, which saw the seed for the collapse of the Han Dynasty, and eventually led to the establishment of the Three Kingdoms 5 years or 35 years later, depending on which historical books you're reading. The Emperor Liu Hong passed away in 189 AD, and his young son, the 13-year-old Liu Bian, became the new emperor. According to the official history, 三国志, A general from the western frontier, Lin Tao, named Dong Zhuo, was called back to crack down on the eunuchs who had controlled the young emperor Liu Bian. After the eunuchs were all killed and replaced the emperor Liu Bian with his younger brother Liu Xie as the new emperor, Dong Zhuo became the real emperor behind the scene. However, other high-ranked officials were not happy with the way Dong Zhuo behaved at the court. Dong Zhuo showed no respect to the 80-year-old emperor and even raped some of the court ladies. Cao Cao joined many other officials in their effort to eliminate Dong Zhuo and his force. They eventually killed Dong Zhuo in 192 by a general named Lü Bu. However, this action did not bring any peace. There were constant fighting between the different factions within and without the court. Cao Cao also led his army join this fighting and took over Yanzhou, located in today's Shandong province, in 195 AD. Perhaps the most effective and smart decision Cao Cao made in 195 was to welcome the young emperor Liu Xie, who had fled the capital to his camp and later moved the whole Han court to Xuxian, located in today's Henan province. He was then appointed as the premier by the young emperor Liu Xie. Due to the young age of the emperor, Cao Cao was the one with real power. By 207 AD, Cao Cao's force had conquered all the territories of the northern parts of the Han Empire, indicated by the orange color. By 215 AD, as you can see in the second map, the three kingdoms were established. In 216 AD, the emperor awarded Cao Cao the title of Wei Wang, or the King of Wei, for uniting the northern parts of the Han Empire. Cao Cao died in 220 AD at the age of 66. Although Cao Cao was not a loyal official to the Han Emperor Liu Xie, he made sure that Liu Xie held the title as the emperor all his life, even though many officials urged him to claim the throne. It was his son Cao Pei forced the emperor abdicated the throne to him in the same year Cao Cao died. Hence started the short-lived Wei Kingdom. Subsequently, the kings of the other two kingdoms of Shu and Wu also declared themselves as emperors. So we have three emperors during the Three Kingdom period. The Wei Kingdom did not last long. It ended in 266 AD when a high-ranked official named Sima Yan usurped the throne and founded the Jin dynasty. Sima Yan and his brothers were excellent generals. It took them 14 years to conquer the kingdoms of Shu and Wu and regain most of the Han territory in 280 AD. Even though Cao Cao had a very bad reputation among the Confucian historians, he enjoyed a rather mixed reputation among the scholar officials. This was because Cao Cao showed immense appreciation to people with talent and recruited many famous scholars and warriors of the time at his court. The most famous ones were the Jian'an Qizhi, or the seven masters of the Jian'an reign. Jian'an was a Nianhao, or the name of the emperor's reign from 196 to 220 AD. These scholars enjoyed huge freedom and privileges. Their creativity were reflected in the poetry, music, and philosophies emerged during the Three Kingdom period and the subsequent Jin dynasty. This period was one of the few rare times that witnessed the huge artistic and intellectual creativities during the long history of China. Cao Cao and his two sons, Cao Zhi and Cao Pi, were all excellent poets of their time. Apparently, Cao Cao held the Confucian ideal for a harmonious society. He wanted to recruit young talents to relieve people from the suffering inflicted on them by the constant warfare among the warlords. He issued several 求贤令, or decree of recruiting worthy scholars when he was the premier. Here is an excerpt from one of his decrees. Since ancient time, the kings who were endowed by heaven and could revive their kingdoms, haven't they obtained help from the worthies and exemplary persons to govern the world with them? They were able to recruit the worthies and talented personnel without going out. Is it that the kings were just fortunate to meet those worthy and talented people on the street? No, it is because the kings searched for them. Nowadays, the world hasn't reached a peaceful time. There is an urgent need for the worthy and talented persons. You people should help me to find the worthy and talented people. As long as they are talented, you should recommend them to me so I can employ them. It is very important to note that the only criterion to recruit someone is his talent, or 唯才是举, or just recommend someone for his talent. Following this one, he also issued another two decrees and stated explicitly that family background and personal morality should be excluded from the selecting criteria. Such statements were quite shocking to the scholars of the time because it had been established that virtues such as filial piety and moral integrity were the key selecting criteria for scholar officials since the early days of the Han Dynasty. Cao Cao himself was recruited under the criteria of 举孝廉, or recommended for the virtues of filial piety and moral integrity. These policies were quite radical at the time when aristocrat background pretty much was the only criteria for a young man to enter officerdom. By adopting this radical recruiting policy, Cao Cao was able to attract most of the talented generals and scholars of his time to his camp. Cao Cao was admired by many talented scholars and warriors of his time. The historical figure Cao Cao was also an excellent leader who was open-minded and could take criticism graciously. Of course, he was also charismatic and an excellent poet. Like Confucius, he also admired culture heroes such as Duke Zhou. Cao Cao swore he would treat the talented and worthy officials with the ultimate respect and provide all the support for them to realize their potentials and ambitions to bring peace back to the Chinese world and build a harmonious Confucian state where all the people under the heaven can enjoy a peaceful life. This is the historical figure of Cao Cao according to the official history. Let me know what you think of his political and military achievement, his poetry, and the person of Cao Cao. I would love to hear from you. It took Cao Cao almost 20 years to rise from a low-ranked military officer to the top and build his own kingdom. In the following 12 years, from 195 to 207 AD, Cao Cao implemented a series of policies that enriched his kingdom. conquered all the territories in the north, and consolidated his power as the regent at the Han court. If it was not for the famous 赤壁之战, or battle at the Red Cliff, where he was defeated by the joint force of the Shu and Wu, he would be able to unite the whole empire in 208 AD. However, his force was almost destroyed during the battle at the Red Cliff. There are several movies made about the battle at the Red Cliff. Here is a link to one of the movies if you're interested. I'm Dr. Gao, a philosopher obsessed with poetry. I make videos about the classical Chinese poetry, philosophies, and medical texts. If you're interested in the content of my videos, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. I also offer one-to-one online lessons on these subjects. So if you would like to know more about these subjects, please contact me. Here's my email address. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you next time.